Imagine stepping off a creaky ship onto the frozen shores of America in the late 1800s, your breath turning to frost in the biting wind, your dreams of a new life clashing with the harsh reality of endless winters that could freeze a man solid in his sleep. And that's exactly what happened to Olaf Pedersen, a sturdy Norwegian immigrant who left the fjords of Scandinavia behind in search of fertile land in the wilds of Minnesota, where blizzards howled like angry wolves and temperatures plunged to depths that made even the hardiest souls question their choices. Olaf wasn't just any settler. He was a thinker, a tinkerer raised on stories of ancient Viking ingenuity, where survival meant outsmarting nature itself, and as he trudged through the dense forests with his axe slung over his shoulder, his eyes caught something that would change everything. A massive cedar tree, felled by time and rot. Its core hollowed out, like a giant wooden pipe stretching over 30 feet long and 8 feet wide. Its thick bark walls still tough and unyielding against the elements, whispering secrets of warmth hidden in the earth. At first, the other settlers in the small frontier town laughed when Olaf dragged that enormous log back to his modest sod house, calling it his hollow log folly, and mocking him for wasting time on what looked like a childish plaything instead of chopping firewood like everyone else. Their jeers echoing through the tavern as they slapped their knees and said things like, "That crazy Norseman thinks a rotten tree will save him from the devil's cold. He'll be buried under snow by Christmas." But Olaf paid them no mind, his mind racing with an idea born from old Norwegian tales, of underground passages that harnessed the ground's steady heat, and he began sketching plans in the dirt, envisioning how this log could become a tunnel buried beneath the frost line, drawing in air from outside but warming it through contact with the Earth's constant temperature before it reached his home. A simple yet revolutionary concept that no one around him could grasp. As days turned to weeks, Olaf worked tirelessly, digging a trench from the hillside down to his cabin, carefully positioning the hollow log inside it like a vein running through the soil, sealing the ends with clay and moss to prevent leaks. All while the neighbors shook their heads and spread rumors that he'd lost his wits crossing the Atlantic, their skepticism growing louder with each shovelful of dirt he moved. But deep down, Olaf felt a quiet confidence, knowing that science and nature were on his side, even if the world wasn't yet. The hook here is in the mystery of it. Oh, why would a man risk ridicule for a seemingly pointless project? And what hidden power did that log hold that could defy the brutal Minnesota winter, keeping him not just alive, but comfortably warm when others shivered in their beds? As the first snowflakes began to fall, blanketing the landscape in white, the settlers placed bets on how long Olaf's tunnel would last before collapsing or proving useless, little suspecting that this mocked invention was about to reveal its true genius in ways that would leave them all stunned and scrambling to copy it. With the ground hardening under the early frost, Olaf pushed forward on his project, his calloused hands gripping the shovel as he excavated a path that snaked from a sheltered spot on the hill down to the side of his sod cabin. The hollow log fitting perfectly into the trench like it was meant to be there all along, its natural curve allowing for a gentle slope that would prevent water from pooling inside during thaws. And he reinforced the structure with stones and timber braces to ensure it would uncave in under the weight of snow or curious wildlife, all while explaining to anyone who bothered to listen that the Earth's temperature below the frost line stayed around 50 degrees Fahrenheit year-round, meaning air pulled through the tunnel would warm up naturally before entering his home, potentially raising the indoor temperature by 30 degrees without burning extra wood. The science behind it was straightforward yet profound, drawing from geothermal principles that ancient Romans had used in their hypocaust systems for underfloor heating, but adapted here to the American frontier with nothing more than a found log and sheer determination. And Olaf drew inspiration from his homeland's turf houses, where thick earthen walls provided insulation against the cold. Combining that with the log's ability to act as an air conduit that exchanged heat efficiently, minimizing drafts while maximizing comfort in a land where fuel was scarce and winters endless. As word spread, more settlers came by to gawk, some offering half-hearted help, but most just to poke fun. One burly farmer even kicking at the log and declaring, "This ain't no tunnel, it's a grave for your dreams. Olaf better stack that firewood high, or you'll be joining the wolves." Yet Olaf remained undeterred, spending long evenings by lantern light calculating the ideal length and depth, ensuring the tunnel's entrance was positioned to catch prevailing winds without letting in snow. And he even added a simple flap valve made from leather to control airflow, a clever touch that prevented backdrafts on stormy nights. Informative details like these highlight how Olaf's innovation was just luck, but a blend of observation and inherited knowledge, as Norwegian immigrants like him brought skills honed in Scandinavia's rugged terrain, where resourcefulness meant the difference between thriving and perishing. And in Minnesota's Norwegian heavy communities, such as those around Red Wing or Fergus Falls. Similar earth-based techniques were quietly emerging, though none as bold as Olaf's hollow log setup. Challenges mounted as the weather worsened, with freezing rain turning the dig site into a muddy mess that slowed progress, and once, a section of the trench collapsed, forcing Olaf to start over while enduring fevers from the cold exposure. But his persistence paid off when he finally buried the log completely, covering it with soil and sod to blend it into the landscape, invisible to passersby except for the small intake vent poking out like a curious periscope. The engaging part of this tale lies in Olaf's quiet rebellion against conformity, turning mockery into motivation. And as the community prepared for the harshest winter in decades, with supply wagons delayed and firewood rations running low, whispers began to circulate about whether this crazy tunnel might actually work, building a tension that had everyone watching Olaf's cabin from afar. But as the mercury dropped and the first real blizzard roared in, as the blizzard unleashed its fury, winds screaming across the plains and piling snowdrifts higher than a man's head, Olaf hunkered down in his modest sod cabin, the hollow log tunnel quietly doing its work beneath the frozen ground, pulling in frigid outside air that started at a bone-chilling -20 degrees, but gradually warmed as it traveled through the insulated cedar walls in contact with the Earth's steady 50-degree warmth, emerging into the cabin at a comfortable 30 degrees higher, transforming what could have been an icy tomb into a cozy refuge where he could sit by a modest fire without constantly feeding it logs, saving precious fuel that his neighbors were burning through at alarming rates. The science at play was elegantly simple, relying on geothermal heat transfer where the ground acted as a natural battery, storing summer's warmth and releasing it slowly in winter, with the log's thick, roach-resistant bark providing perfect conduction without the need for metal pipes or fancy machinery. A technique that echoed indigenous earth lodge designs used by Native American tribes in the region long before European settlers arrived. But Olaf's adaptation made it accessible for a lone homesteader with limited resources. Word of his comfort spread when a desperate neighbor, half frozen after his own firewood, ran out, knocked on Olaf's door in the dead of night, expecting to find him suffering like everyone else, only to be greeted by a warm glow and the smell of simmering stew. His jaw dropping as Olaf explained how the tunnel preheated the air, reducing heat loss and maintaining an even temperature that kept frost at bay, turning skeptics into believers overnight as they felt the difference for themselves, with one after another trudging through the snow to see the miracle log in action. Engaging stories from that winter tell of community gatherings in Olaf's cabin, where people shared meals and tailies, while outside the storm raged. The tunnel not just warming bodies but fostering bonds in a time of isolation. And by spring, those who had mocked him were digging their own versions, adapting the idea to their homes and even improving it with multiple logs for larger spaces, spreading the innovation across Minnesota's Norwegian settlements and beyond. Historically, this reflects the broader wave of Scandinavian immigration in the 1880s, where over 1.5 million Norwegians fled economic hardships at home to build lives in America's Midwest, bringing sustainable building practices that influenced modern passive heating systems, like today's earth tubes and eco-hames, proving Olaf's hollow log was ahead of its time. The suspense peaks in the reveal that what started as ridicule ended in redemption, with Olaf living comfortably into old age, his tunnel still functional decades later. A testament to human ingenuity against nature's odds. If this story of triumph over doubt fired you up, hit that like button. Subscribe for more forgotten history gems that show how one person's crazy idea can change everything. And drop a comment below sharing your own survival hacks. Who knows? Maybe it'll inspire the next big breakthrough.